So I screwed up pretty bad. Made a huge mistake, and it cost me a deer. So this past year I really got into bow hunting, like big time. I've always hunted ducks, hunted turkeys, geese, grouse, pheasant, deer hunted with a gun ever since I could. But I really got into bow hunting this past year because a good family friend gave me a crossbow to use, and he said, take it, use it as long as you need to. I don't bow hunt and it's yours. And I'm super thankful. Without that crossbow, I probably never would have been interested in bow hunting, and more importantly, I never would have been interested in continuing to bow hunt into the progression I've made. I scout during the season, I scout right before the season starts, and I scout in the spring after the season ends, and even in the winter. And what I found is that just like fishing, I've developed a skill that I've learned from people, reading articles, watching TV, family, friends, whatever. I've developed this skill in finding deer, just like I find fish. I might not have the best hook setups, I might not have the best gear, I might not always have the best bait, but I'm really good at locating fish, I've discovered, and figuring that whole thing out. And I'm discovering that I'm pretty good at finding deer as well. And one thing I'm interested in is finding spots where people don't go. Crossing rivers, walking in a swamp, going through thick brush, walking 2 miles to shoot a deer, I have no problem with. I'd rather do that than sit just off a field edge somewhere and maybe see something, maybe not. And my favorite time to hunt is the early season for bow hunting because things are green. Not a lot of bow hunters are out. Deer are still in their food pattern. I think that's important, food pattern. So what I've done is I purchased my tags. I got a doe tag and a buck tag. Where I'm from, they give you a bow tag for free if you purchase a buck tag. I got that. There's a lot of deer around. I started pinpointing these different spots that I found during scouting. And one place I really like to hunt is river bottoms, because a lot of times you have to go up the river in a kayak, or you have to cross the river in your waders, and a lot of people don't like doing that. That means the deer feel safe. They can hear people coming. And I found a really good spot. And it turns out it's an oxbow or a point or a peninsula, whatever you want to call it. So I started hunting there, and I noticed that when I go in there, I jump deer a lot, particularly does. And I love shooting does early season. I think that's a good idea simply because I can worry about bucks for the rest of the season. That's a long season in Wisconsin. So on opening day of bow season, I set up on this peninsula. I knew deer come in there, they feel safe. They've got water all around them. To go on to this peninsula, they pretty much need to cross water, which is actually really good for me. I can hear where the deer are coming from a little before they even get there. And so I set up in a rainy day, about 15 feet up in a tree. I'm in my saddle. I've got this crossbow I've been using for 2 years. It's light, it's mobile for a crossbow. And a deer comes up, and this is what happened. Now this just wasn't any deer. This was a huge doe, like a huge doe, 5-6 years old, big long nose, extremely weary, would not go out in the open. And I saw a doe just before that I actually saw walking into my stand, or where I was going to put my saddle on the tree. I picked up my stick to go up the tree, my first climbing stick, and as I'm holding that stick, she gets up from her bed. This is a younger doe before, about 3 or 4 hours before I missed this big doe. And I was like, oh no. I stared at her for like 3 minutes before I went to the ground. She turned away, then I went down. I got back up, I had her in my scope, but she was walking away. It wouldn't have been an ethical shot. So I was like, well, whatever. I'll just go back up in my tree. I know that this is a good spot. Then when that big doe came in, you can just tell she was a big mature doe. Now I'm not saying she's going to be as weary as a huge buck, big Pope young buck, but she was really smart and really with it. She had 2 fawns with her, and she would not come in the open. It was just one of those things that, like, if you're going to get a crack at a big deer like this, they don't make the same mistake twice. I thought it was my mistake that I missed, but I shot that thing 100 times. I've shot guns my entire life. It's fairly similar. And I'm thinking, what in the heck just happened? How is this happening to me? How did I miss that deer? I was set up, I was solid, the scope was on her. I just sighted the thing in, unless I bumped the scope somewhere. Was sighting in my crossbow the next day. I thought something's not right, so I took it in the yard. I started shooting it. I must have shot that thing 15 times. It was all over the target. 6 inches to the right, 6 inches to the left. It was never bad up and down, but it kept going to the right and the left. I was like, what's going on with this thing? I used to be able to hit a dime from 30 yards every time with that thing. I was really confident with it. Maybe my 14, 15 shot, as I have it ready to shoot the target, I look and the limb is cracked. I've used this thing for 1 season. This is my 2nd season and the thing broke. That explains why I missed it. So I'm really lucky that my dad is letting me use his crossbow. It's way better than not being able to hunt at all. I'm really thankful I still get to go out, but I'm in the process right now of purchasing a compound bow, and which is something I want to do after this season anyway. I was hoping the bow I had was going to last this season. I could do a little bit of filming. I just use a GoPro on my hat for now, and I could also, get some more experience bow hunting in the woods. And it's something that I have a lot of experience in hunting, but not specifically bow hunting for deer, so I wanted to use the crossbow for 1 more season. And it just so happens that I missed a huge doe on opening day, so I could focus the rest of the season on buck bed hunting, basically. And now I'm kind of back where I started, so it's gonna be an interesting season. I do have a bow picked out, as it turns out, and I think I'm gonna purchase this one, and I'll have to do a lot of practicing. I've shot bows before, but it's gonna be an hour or 2 every day for a couple of weeks before I can shoot at a deer ethically. So it's gonna be quite the process. I'll keep you posted on how that's going, show you some pictures, do some videos of my shoots, and see what kind of patterns I get. But it's gonna be a really great year. I found a lot of sweet spots. It was an exciting first night. I saw 4 deer my first 3 hours of hunting this season. And I hope to continue filming these hunts, even if it's just on a GoPro for now. So stay tuned for more deer hunting action. Not a lot of action in this video, but it's lessons that I've learned, and hopefully you can learn something from this too. So thanks for watching. Take care.